Hi Archie, thank you for doing this. Would you mind just introducing yourself, what you did previous to NQA and what you do now for NQA?
Hi, yeah, I'm Archie Gemmell. I'm the Aerospace and Defence Sector Manager for NQA. I used to be in the Royal Airforce as a Chief Technician, so aircraft technical maintenance technician.
What were you doing before NQA?
So I used to work on aircraft. Did 22 and a half years in the aircraft in the Air Force, working on various types of kind of helicopters, fast jets, and working in different environments. So predominantly I joined up as an engine tradesman, so technician on aircraft engines. So I used to strip and build them, test them, things like that. Also worked on helicopters in technical roles. So used to go on air tests and do what they call rotor tunes, so track and balance to stop the helicopter shaking to pieces. And then towards the end of my career, as you kind of got promoted and moved away from the tools into the kind of management roles, got involved in quality. So used to audit the station I was on. So used to do composite repair schools, used to do bomb disposal and aircraft repair and things like that. So kind of technical aspects of the station's outputs from a quality perspective. So quite a wide and varied role over a relatively long career.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it kind of changed over time as you went into more management. Is that why you were kind of interested in NQA, or how did you come across NQA in general?
So I was in the quality department for 3 years prior to leaving the Air Force. So I was aware of ISO 9000. I'd done training and things like that. And because I was looking to leave and kind of go for a second career, if you like, based on when I was leaving, it was something that interested me, the quality side of it. So we had the careers transition partnership, where they help military personnel transition from obviously the military into civilian life, and that includes job fairs, how to prepare your CVs and things like that, and they get you to attend different events. So I attended an event at Newmarket Racecourse, and went for a look round and saw the NQA stand. But I'd also had a friend, for a former colleague, that had been to another one that NQA were at, and they gave me a case study. So case studies on Kevin Gunn, one of the field ops managers at the moment, and he had a very similar background to me in terms of his time in the Air Force as well. So I kind of thought, if he can do it, I can do it. And I got in touch with NQA, and I ended up going for a visit. They had what they called an industry day. So I came to Warwick House, to the head office, and spent a day there with one of the previous ops directors, with some more people, and they kind of went through what NQA did, how they could support us, how they could help us transition, and kind of took it from there, which resulted in me getting an interview, and ultimately joining NQA.
And I guess on that, about the transition, how did you find it? Did you have to do any more training, or was it that you were able to start straight away? And how did NQA kind of support you in that?
As part of the transition, the military give you a kind of a little pot of money for training, so you can attend different courses. So depending on where you take your career, there's various courses that they offer. So I looked at project management initially, but I also looked at doing an ISO 9000 lead auditor course to refresh some training I'd already got. So that was one of my courses I took for the transition. So I'd been auditing and was already qualified. So essentially there was a relatively swift cut across when I joined NQA. But ultimately I joined as a trainee aerospace auditor, because the aerospace scheme is based on experience. So you've got to have so many years experience within the aerospace sector to be able to qualify. So I'd got that experience, which is quite difficult to come by. So joined as a trainee. So initially did some 9,000 audits and did the training, as they then put me through the training courses for aerospace specific auditing, and then had a cut across of about, I think it was 6 to 8 months, where I went from delivering 9,000 audits, going through my training, and then delivering aerospace audits. So they kind of helped me with that transition, that I'd got training through the military and then more training through NQA before I could kind of deliver the high value aerospace audits.
How did you find the training? Was it, I guess you've done it before, but was it still a shock, or was it quite similar to what you'd done before, so it's quite an easy process?
Probably easier, because I was a bit older, maybe a bit wiser, but the military is very kind of strict in that respect, that it's very formal and rigid approach and that type of thing, whereas NQA, being a kind of civilian organization, if you like, is a lot more relaxed. So the kind of environment's different for the training. So yeah, the training was relatively easy, if I'm honest, but I did have a really good instructor for it as well, that kind of made it easy and made that kind of learning a lot more straightforward and that type of thing. So yeah, it was okay.
And then since you started at NQA, like, how have you found it compared to when you were in the armed forces doing, say, the internal audits, or your previous job in the Royal Air Force? Has it been quite an easy transition, or was it quite hard at the start?
The transition's been good. So the military's very regimented, obviously, and very you have to conform type thing. So it's kind of rules and regulations are kind of the Bible, if you like. And the transition was fairly straightforward, in the sense that it was difficult to find your feet and understand what you could do and how you could do it without having the constraints on you. So the difficulty was looking after yourself and be able to be a self-starter in that respect. But the transition was straightforward. It was fairly quick, because you can take an extended period of time off. I literally went from being in the RAF on a Friday to being in NQA on the Monday. So it was kind of frying pan into the fire and get on with it. So it was good.
That's one way to get into it. Just go head first into it and hope that you do well. But what's made you stay at NQA?
I like the auditing. So because I do the aerospace auditing, it's kind of complex, in depth. Generally, they're multi-day audits as well. So big customers, interesting things. So really largely around the customers and what I get to see and what I get to do. And I just enjoy the auditing side of it with people. So, and helping people as well. So NQA helped me do that. So
my final question is, if someone was coming out of the armed forces and they wanted to go into, as you say, civilian work, whether it's at NQA or not, what's one piece of advice that you could give them?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yep, just do it. It's not as bad as you think it is. They make it sound really difficult, and everybody worries about it, because will you get a job? Will you get the right job? Will you get paid enough? And all these things. And it's quite scary. It's quite daunting to kind of make that decision to leave, because you've got families to support, kids, whatever, mortgages to pay. Just do it. It's the best thing I ever did. I loved my time in the military. I had a great time in the Air Force, and I met lots of really good people, did lots of really interesting and different jobs. However, I wish I'd made the jump earlier, because I've learned so much more, and I actually work so much harder and kind of tax myself on a daily basis. And if you get a company that half as good as NQA, you'll be doing all right. So
amazing. Thank you so much.